My name is Sophia, and this happened when I was around 11 years old. It was a chilly autumn evening, and the dusk was settling in, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. My mom, a hard-working woman striving to make ends meet, often had late shifts at a local diner. During these times, my reliable babysitter, Lily, would come over to keep an eye on me. Lily was relatively new to our neighborhood, just in her early 20s, and this particular night was only her fourth time looking after me. My bedtime was strictly set at 9 p.m. by my mom, but Lily, being the compassionate person she was, always let me stay up a bit later whenever my mom worked late. On this particular night, Lily and I were engrossed in an adventurous movie, the flickering screen casting playful shadows across the room. Amidst the soundtrack of the film, I heard a strange noise outside. It was a subtle sound, almost imperceptible, akin to a soft click, but it made my heart skip a beat. Instinctively, I turned my attention toward the window, the curtains slightly ajar. For an instant, I caught a fleeting glimpse of something moving outside. However, I tried to dismiss it, attributing it to my overactive imagination, and quickly shut the curtains to avoid causing any concern to Lily. Curious about the noise, Lily noticed my abrupt action and inquired why I closed the curtains so suddenly. I downplayed it, casually stating that it was due to the nighttime setting in, masking my unease and avoiding alarming her with my suspicions. As the night unfolded, the movie drew to a close, and a creeping sense of drowsiness started to settle upon me. Suddenly, faint footsteps, barely audible but enough to pique my curiosity, stirred in the silence. Feeling a mix of apprehension and curiosity, I stealthily tiptoed to the top of the stairs, peering down toward the living room. There, seated on the couch, I saw Lily's silhouette, softly illuminated by the glow of her laptop screen. But if Lily was there, who was moving around outside? A chill traced its way down my spine, and an unsettling feeling lodged itself within me. Driven by an inexplicable blend of fear and curiosity, I descended the stairs with cautious steps, aiming to remain undetected. Making my way to my bedroom window, every breath I took felt heavy, my heart pounding erratically. With trembling hands, I parted the blinds, and as they slowly yielded, a knot formed in my stomach as I spotted two ominous shadowy figures, skulking with sinister intent around the perimeter of our house. Panic surged within me like a tidal wave, and without a moment's hesitation, I hastily retreated to the living room where Lily was stationed. My voice quivered as I poured out everything I had witnessed to her. An exchange of worried glances between us ensued, our hearts racing with trepidation and uncertainty. In silent unison, Lily and I tacitly acknowledged the need for immediate action. Swiftly, we devised a plan, leaving through the garage, ensuring its secure closure, and fleeing in Lily's car. Our steps were hurried, breaths shallow and rapid, as we put distance between ourselves and the house. Once at a safe distance, trembling fingers dialed my mom's number, recounting the distressing sequence of events to her in a shaky voice. The next call was to the authorities, relaying every alarming detail of the harrowing ordeal, an agonizing wait ensued, the minutes ticking by slowly and anxiety-laden thoughts racing through my mind. Thankfully, the response from the authorities was prompt. It came to light that the shadowy figures we had seen lurking around our house were involved in attempted break-ins within our neighborhood. Relief washed over me like a soothing balm upon learning of their capture, yet the lingering thoughts of what could have unfolded sent shivers down my spine. The experience became a profound lesson, teaching me the invaluable importance of remaining vigilant and trusting my instincts. It's a night etched into the depths of my memory, one I won't forget. However, amidst the shroud of fear, I'm immensely grateful that Lily and I acted swiftly that night. The safety and security we managed to attain through prompt action serve as a lasting reminder of the value of intuition and rapid decision-making in moments of uncertainty. Back when I was 8 and my little sister Megan was 6, our parents planned a weekend getaway. They arranged for a babysitter to look after us while they were away. Through a family friend's recommendation, they found Jamie, a 17-year-old from a nearby town. Our parents trusted Jamie due to his good family background, and were confident leaving us in his care. The first night passed without any significant events. I spent the evening playing Monopoly in the living room, deeply engrossed in strategizing and accumulating property while Jamie kept an eye on Megan. Jamie seemed pleasant and approachable, making me feel at ease with his presence. As the weekend progressed, Jamie continued to join in our board game sessions, adding to the fun with his wit and strategy. His amiable nature made me think of him as a cool older friend, and I found myself warming up to him. However, the third night changed everything. I was tucked in bed, absorbed in a book, when I noticed a faint creak and the slow opening of my bedroom door. My heart skipped a beat as Jamie peeked in, his silhouette outlined against the dim light from the hallway. He softly asked if I wanted to continue playing games. Politely declining, I expected him to leave, but later that night, I awoke to a startling sight. In the dimly lit room, Jamie stood near my bed, his figure looming ominously. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized he was closer than before, whispering for me to stay silent. The fear that coursed through me felt suffocating, and I let out a blood-curdling scream, darting out of the room to find Megan. Jamie seemed to avoid me the next day, and an unsettling feeling lingered. Unable to reach our parents, I spent the day trying to distract Megan and myself with various activities around the house. Nighttime brought another chilling encounter. As the door creaked open, I swiftly hurried to Megan's room, only to find Jamie already there, claiming to check on her. His presence felt invasive and threatening. Instinctively, I yelled for him to leave, my voice trembling with fear, as I locked the door to ensure Megan's safety. In the days following my parents' return, a palpable tension hung in the air. My attempts to convey the depth of my discomfort and fear fell short in the presence of Jamie, who maintained a facade of normalcy. Each time I caught his gaze, a shiver would race down my spine, a stark reminder of the dread that had consumed me during those nights. I grappled with a sense of guilt for not being able to fully articulate the severity of the situation, burdened by a fear of not being believed or worse, of causing unnecessary alarm. The echoes of that harrowing experience lingered, casting a shadow over my trust in others, especially those outside of my immediate family circle. I found myself vigilant, hyper-aware of unfamiliar faces, or even the most subtle shifts in behavior, always cautious and on guard. The once comforting thought of someone looking out for us had now turned into an unsettling fear of the unknown intentions of those we considered trustworthy. Despite the passage of time, the memories still haunt me. They serve as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance and speaking up, even when faced with uncertainty or discomfort. It's a lesson that has shaped my outlook on personal safety, urging me to be proactive in protecting myself and those around me, advocating for open communication, and ensuring that no one's concerns are dismissed or disregarded. The experience, though unsettling, has instilled in me a deep sense of resilience and a commitment to always prioritize safety and well-being. I couldn't fathom why I agreed when my colleague asked me to house-sit her place for the weekend. I mean, I barely knew her, and her house was a strange old mansion on the outskirts of town. She mentioned her daughter Mia a few times in passing, but I'd never met the girl. The whole thing felt odd, but she was insistent, and I found myself saying yes against my better judgment. The direction she gave led me to a dilapidated estate with a towering wrought iron gate that seemed as old as time itself. The overgrown gardens gave an eerie vibe, making me second-guess my decision. As I walked towards the imposing house, its windows seemed to stare back at me, each one darker than the other. Once inside, the interior was a labyrinth of creaky corridors and musty rooms, a place frozen in time. Mia's mother hurriedly explained where everything was and dashed off, leaving me alone in the colossal house. I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched by the silent portraits lining the walls. I tried to make myself comfortable in the living room, attempting to read, but the weight of the silence was oppressive. Time seemed to stand still as I waited, the stillness broken only by the occasional rustling of the ancient house settling. Hours passed before I heard a faint noise coming from upstairs, like a child's laughter, but it was distorted, chilling. I made my way up, convinced it was Mia playing, but the laughter turned into murmurs, sounding nothing like a child's voice. I reached Mia's door and knocked softly, but there was no response. The murmurs continued, growing louder and more unsettling. I called out, "Mia, are you all right?" Silence followed before a low, guttural voice responded, sending shivers down my spine. It wasn't Mia. With trembling hands, I pushed the door open, and the room was plunged into darkness. As my eyes adjusted, I saw Mia sitting on her bed, holding a weathered doll that seemed to exude an otherworldly presence. "Hello?" I said cautiously. Mia looked up, her eyes wide and fearful. "The doll," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "It talks to me." I reached out, trying to comfort her, but she recoiled, hugging the doll tighter. She murmured about the doll being her only companion since her father's passing. I felt a pang of sympathy for the girl, but an overwhelming sense of unease lingered. As night fell, Mia refused to part with the doll, insisting it needed her. Reluctantly, I left her to sleep, promising to check on her later. Alone downstairs, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The house felt alive, whispering secrets in the dead of night. Suddenly, the doll's eerie presence seemed to fill the room, its eyes gleaming in the dim light. I reached out to grab the doll, intending to keep it away from Mia, but the moment I touched it, I was overwhelmed by a sense of dread. The doll's eyes seemed to glow, and an icy voice emanated from it, speaking in riddles and threats. Panic set in, and I couldn't think straight. The house felt suffocating, and I stumbled outside, gasping for air. I fumbled for my phone, but the battery was dead. My only option was to run to a neighbor's house for help. As I sprinted through the darkness, a sense of foreboding followed me. I collapsed at a neighbor's door, barely coherent, begging for help. They called the authorities, and when the police arrived, they found the mansion empty. Mia, the doll, the strange whispers, all vanished without a trace. I was left with no explanation, labeled as delusional due to exhaustion. But in the dead of night, when the wind howls, I still hear those chilling whispers echoing in the empty halls of that mansion, haunting me with unanswered questions.